Okay, here we go. This is, I don't know, the 6th or 7th version, 8th version of Wild Outside podcast. And also it's going to be a video on YouTube and Facebook now and maybe YouTube in the future. A couple quick things before we invite our awesome guests. Wild Trails, Choo Choo Chase was this last weekend, Saturday. Awesome paddleboards. Our second paddleboard race really went well. The next event for Wild Trails is week from Saturday is the big one. It is the Scenic City Marathon, half marathon, and 5K is fairly new. We've only been doing the 5K for a couple years, and it's a really great 5K race up on Raccoon Mountain, which arguably could be one of the best venues for trail racing anywhere in Chattanooga. But I will say that next Saturday is the first Wild Trails Adventure Series event for the year. And Justin Bird, a buddy of mine, came up with this insane thing. So you paddle, and let me back up. The Adventure Series things are no free, or no frills, no fee, no sponsors, no awards, but also no wimps, whiners, or weenies. So there's a lot of no's involved. But super cool event, fun thing. Race it if you want, but it's usually big party afterwards, and everybody kind of shares in the fun. But usually kind of more ultra distance kind of stuff. But this one really highlights Chattanooga. Paddled from the dam to McClelland Island, run the 1 mile loop around there, paddle to Market Street Bridge, leave your paddleboard there safely, we'll guard it, run to Justin's house, jump on your bike, 2 laps at Stringers, so that's 8 miles on Stringers, and then 1 lap running, and then go all the way back up to the dam just the way you came. So it ends up being 32 total miles, and I know that paddling back upstream to the dam is going to shut down a lot of people, but if you learn how to paddle the eddies, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So happening on Saturday, L2 has got their big, they are open now, soft opening, but L2's formal opening is going to be May 18th. So put that on your calendar, come to L2 outside and check out their new gigs, which is on the north side of Market Street Bridge. They just left the south side of Market Street Bridge. So
it's actually really easy parking. I've been twice now over there.
On the back?
Yeah. Pull around back.
Cool.
Jump out. It's awesome.
So there's an entrance from Coolidge Park as well. So
yeah, Coolidge Park. Yeah.
So first, big thanks to OddStory. That's where we are. OddStory Brewing Company's giving us their place, and actually we get to drink beer. So if you got some super cool story about getting people out active outside and out in the woods, and you like to drink free beer, let us know and we'll get you on the podcast.
Every week.
I'm here every
single week.
I don't even say anything. I just show up for the beer.
Well, Matt actually is really the host of this whole thing. So Matt Sims, big thanks. And our guests, relatively new to Chattanooga, like as in
3
years ago. So Jenny and Franklin Baker, they both are just super ultra runners. Ultra great for the community because they've done so much stuff already and planning a lot more. So we're just really thankful that you decided to land in Chattanooga. And why Chattanooga? Where'd you come from? Let me hear the story.
Yeah. Can we start?
Yep.
Cincinnati, Ohio. We actually
Flying Pig
Yes.
marathon. We've done many a times. Actually ran past our backyard in Cincinnati, but we kept coming to Chattanooga for races from
all the Wild
Cincinnati.
Trails races.
Wild Trails.
We would. It was like
Yes.
our vacations. We would just get out of the city and we're like, oh, we gotta go for this one. We gotta go for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
We kept coming. Yeah. And eventually we're like, oh man, we should just move there. Of course, that wasn't really going to happen until Jenny started pushing the idea, which she does really well. And it really started with just a way of life. We were living 2 jobs. We had just had our second son, and
Second kid.
Second kid, yes.
unless there's one
He
other belt.
he is like two sons in one.
He is.
You have 4 now.
Well, we have a bunch.
We have
We have two.
two.
We have
Oh,
two.
you have 2.
We have two. They're just that much.
And the dog.
They act
That
like
is
one.
Yeah.
crazy.
That's a cool dog. Though.
Yeah.
Because when I've called you, it sounds like there's a nursery.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Thank
there's like
you.
a daycare going on at your house.
It's crazy town.
Yeah, that's about right. But I think we were tired of corporate, and we were tired of like living the fast-paced life, and sending our kids to daycare with a nanny and not being involved.
Yeah.
And so,
And we'd go run and eat car dust like all day. I mean, and
Yeah.
when that's all you have,
Yeah.
you run. But I mean, we're getting cars flying by left and right.
there's one park within
Yeah.
Cincinnati city limits, and then you have to drive like a half an hour just to get to the first like set of trails. It's a road running place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great road running community. We have great friends there, yeah. But for us, we find ourselves coming alive in the trails, systems, outside, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, so we kind of just started looking at like the map. Where would we like to live if we were going to like slow down our life a little bit, and what would that look like? And Chattanooga and Asheville were like the two places. And then so
Same with us too.
yeah, it happens a lot of it. So we're like, all right, mountains, but then we have family like in like the western part of Tennessee and Alabama. We're like, oh, Asheville puts us out of like just a close driving range just to get to family and stuff. And then we asked her parents, hey, her dad was retiring at the time. We're like, would you move with us? And they're like, yeah, we'll go with you, because they were in Cincinnati at the time. And they're like, well, we want to be closer to the family too. So like Chattanooga was like, all right, well, I mean, Asheville or Chattanooga. I mean, either one. And they moved down with us, and that's when we decided that Jenny was going to cut her job so we could take care.
What were you doing?
I was working for a nonprofit, so I was doing community groups
Oh.
at a nonprofit, managing a couple thousand volunteers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
Working a lot of hours.
working a lot of hours.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Yep.
Living the American dream. It wasn't really a dream.
I wouldn't change for anything right now for me. I'd like to find more hours in the day, but that's not going to happen just yet.
Well, and I think for everybody, there comes that point, and I don't know if y'all have experienced this, where you want to make this shift in your lifestyle and where you're going, but then you have to count the cost of doing that. And so as we were kind of dreaming of what it could look like for our family to slow down, be more intentional about being outside together, live more intergenerationally, like with my parents and close to family, like out of the blue, Franklin's job's going really well. I get this job offer that's just like perfect for me, great money, great promises. And so at that fork in the road, like we really had to say, okay, what's important to us as a family? And it was hard. It was really difficult to make that choice.
The hardest. I mean, I think when a lot of people come up with those decision-making points in their life, they think of the financial cost, and that's kind of one of the main overriding things. And you got to, especially if you got kids, you have to think about that probably as much first or foremost. But then, the emotional and the health and wellness cost just keeps getting shoved down. It's not as important. And then the lifestyle that you lead when you decide to take the big job and go to the big city, and your family suffers and your health suffers, and it's just I don't know. I don't think there's enough when you make that big decision. There's not enough weight on emotional and health and wellness, because it's just such a big piece of it.
Well, I don't think you can feel that either. So it's something
Right.
that you need to experience it in order to know which one would I choose. And it's easy to experience the financial part. You're living in it. Like what that freedom brings and
Yeah.
how great it
Yeah.
is, but you don't know what it's like to live with less stress and
No doubt.
and more family and love and all those things and wellness. So yeah.
So have you ever lived in a place where you had trails at your back door?
Well, we do now,
Now,
but
yeah.
Well, we do now, that's for sure.
We do.
But
Yeah.
no.
I mean, think about
and
that.
And that was the shift, I think, for us is, we have these two kids. And then for us, we are better together outdoors. We just are. we work better together. We all thrive when we're outdoors. And so we said, okay, that's then the important thing for us. So then when we even moved down here, like, it's great. You have access to some amazing trails and the river. But even then, we had to go beyond that and say, okay, how serious are we about planting our family in the middle of the outdoors to where we have the most access possible? Not only that, though, we had this, and a lot of people call it a lot of different things, but we felt called to invite other people into that lifestyle. And so then we also had to start saying, okay, well, where are we going to choose to plant our family where we're able to open up our lifestyle to other people and invite other people into that lifestyle?
Yeah.
And so and Franklin, the pucker factor on this for him was really high.
Well, when we moved here, we were blessed into a great place on Lookout Mountain, right by Sunset Rock, that we rented from a guy who literally had moved to Florida and just didn't want to give up his place yet, and was like, just tell me what a monthly cost and take care of it and insurance. And I just sent him like something. I was like, he'll never say yes to this. And he said yes to it. And it took us less than a 10th of a mile. I was out of my doorstep on Sunset Rock on the trail.
Oh, yeah.
And we're living there thinking, all right, we got to move to the woods now. Like, this is like really, really good for me. But she had the vision still in the back of her mind, like, no, this is not where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be, like, we need to immerse ourselves where we can invite other people, because where we were living there, it's like, okay, someone can stay in our bedroom, but that's it.
So that landed you in Suck Creek, right?
Yeah, Suck Creek.
Well,
yeah.
Let's all just say that.
Karen.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
And it's a great
terrible.
history there. It's a horrible history, too. It's a horrible name.
Terrible. When I post on Facebook, like, I had to take that off, where it says where you're posting from.
Yeah.
Like, when we first moved here, people were like, do you really live in Suck Creek?
I mean, but if you
Yes,
know,
no.
like we do now, it's
Yeah.
like paradise for adventure.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's
Yeah.
For somebody in the past, which, how many, like 85 boats died
Yeah.
right there where
Yes.
Suck Creek meets, so it's a horrible
Not
name.
anymore now.
Yeah.
They
We fixed
it.
that thanks
Yeah.
to TVA.
But you want to talk about how we found the property that we're in now?
Well,
From
I'd say that was part of that was your dad, and I would say back to her parents during this transition time. Her parents, they definitely also had a pucker factor. They bought an RV, and for 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
they lived in an RV.
These are your baby boomers who, like, were totally drilled with you work, you save, you build, you grow your empire, and then when you
Big
retire,
house.
you just sit in your castle and look down on all the peasants. And so here are these baby boomers who are like at the prime of that, right? And we're like, hey, you want to go on this adventure with us and sell everything? And it is one of the most humbling things to have your parents love you enough and believe in you enough to say, I believe in your vision of what you want for your family, and I want to be a part of that I will sell everything and go with you on this crazy adventure. And so my parents, and to show you the dynamic,
They sold everything.
I mean, they did. They had lots of different things to divest themselves of. But for the past 5 years, my dad had been running a company in Indianapolis, Indiana, while my mom lived in their primary residence in northern Kentucky. And so Monday through Friday, he would be in Indy, and she would have her own space. And then he would come home for 2 days on the weekends, and they would be together, and then he would leave again. They sell everything and buy an RV. And the first few months, my mom's like, Jenny, I don't know how to do this.
I can't get away from him.
Yeah.
it's a big RV,
You're
right?
not going
It
anywhere.
was a big fifth wheel.
It was a big RV.
But still, nothing like.
Yeah.
And so they lived at the KOA at the bottom of Raccoon there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's class.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was really
It's good for
awesome
you.
to see.
I don't know your parents that well, but I love them. I wish my parents were like that. I can't get my parents to
would
come
never
visit.
do that.
Oh.
way.
My mom comes. She won't come visit because the bugs.
I have friends like that.
Immersing herself into nature in the South is not going to happen.
So that kind of morphs us into SheVentures,
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
which is something that you started, and it's SheVentures, not SheAdventures, right?
Right.
SheVentures.
SheVentures.
So this is a cool
Really?
thing, and and I want you to tell us about. Before that, I just want to say, for a couple that has only been into Chattanooga for 3 years, the impact that you guys have made, not just with the Gergia Jewel, which we'll talk about in a second, but now SheVentures, always on the podium. I mean, like, you guys know a lot of people. You're integrated into the community. Well done, because that's not. I mean, it's not super easy. I don't think, especially living in Suck Creek, so far away with kids.
Do you know what they call people that live up in Suck Creek?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. But old school is secretions.
Secretions?
Nice.
I feel like that some days.
You have property up there, which is where you're running the camp from, or whatever you want to call it, I guess. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we ended up with my parents, these 530 acres up on top of this mountain, and it's got rock climbing on it. They call it Suck a Cave. Suck a Cave. Where the rock climbing is. We connect to Prentice Cooper State Forest, so our trail system connects to 25,000 acres, their trail system. So we mountain bike, trail run, and then we're right up from the river for paddleboarding. And so part of this, let's invite other people into our lives and open up our lives, was, okay, so this property isn't just our property, it's other people's property. And I have a passion for, especially women, connecting women to the outdoors, because I know what it's like to love to be outside, but also be super intimidated to learn anything new in an environment where it's predominantly dudes. And guys do still predominantly fill the outdoor, just all the sports in the outdoors. And things are even geared just towards dudes. Like, there are some companies that don't even make female versions of hydration packs or shoes, and they just assume that we'll all just fall in line with
the unisex.
Yes, anyways, that's another soapbox for another time. But I have loved the freedom that the outdoors brings, but also the empowerment that I feel when I learn something new. And I don't know that women realize how strong that they are, and how capable they are. So we're like, okay, we have this property. What would it look like to open it up to women, to encourage them in a safe environment to take adventurous challenges, like to try rock climbing for the first time, to try paddleboarding, mountain biking. And so we just said, all right, and part of kind of just being in the community for a couple of years, I just kept my eyes and ears open to, okay, here are the women in this community that are just naturally connectors and make people feel welcomed and safe to try new things. And so I just kind of like quietly and subtly started going after those women, and finally got them all together about a year and a half ago and said, hey, I have this idea. Like, what if we had this adventure camp for women, and it was all women, and we just taught them how to make fires, set up tents, rock climb, all this kind of stuff. And these women were so excited to be a part of this. And so, like, all right, let's do it. And so SheVentures was born. And it has been phenomenal to see people come alongside us and believe in what we're doing. So this July, we'll have our first camp. We're capping it at 50 women, and we're
almost full.
Yeah, almost full. And we haven't even done anything except just kind of personal invites and word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've got great partners: Patagonia, Wild Trails, Fleet Feet. REI is coming in and giving us mountain bikes and rock climbing gear, and L2 is going to come in and do all the paddleboarding stuff for us.
I'll teach you how to juggle if I dress up like
I
a girl.
know! Will you wear a skirt? I might let you do
absolutely.
Y'all heard it.
He does all the time.
You could be the entertainment. Can you juggle with fire?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's his favorite.
That's my favorite thing in the world to
related
do.
to fire.
On a
You don't
unicycle.
know the
On a slack
fire
line.
story?
No!
Okay, some other time.
We got some stories to tell.
Oh my gosh.
He loves fire.
Okay.
So anyways,
Just gonna burn our land
and,
down.
but I have to say, like, with you three men sitting here, and Seth, you're over there, he's over there, I'm thankful that there have been men who y'all have said yes to this, and you believe in women being in the outdoors and having as much freedom and opportunity as men. And so all of you here have, in your own way, supported what we're doing. And it's only because of that I think we will be able to have a great experience for women. So thank you all for what y'all have done to support that.
So the women that are going to be in attendance, are they regional primarily?
So
Chattanooga?
no, like we have people from Missouri, Illinois, we have a Virginia. Like it's amazing the women that are drawn here. And what is super surprising to me, I don't know why, but like we have 55, 65-year-old women signed up to come. Like we have a whole group from Kentucky coming to celebrate their friend's 50th birthday. Like, how awesome is that?
Awesome.
And they have never, so we send out this like questionnaire when you sign up, like, you know, what's your experience in the outdoors? None of them have ever been outdoors, ever.
They're not
like,
ultra sign up at all.
They don't
like,
know
when you
ultra
click it, you're
sign
like,
up.
they have nothing.
They don't know anything.
Yeah, nothing.
Wow.
They don't.
Yeah.
And so it's,
Now there are some 30-year-olds,
Brace yourself.
and we have a mix. We have 30 and 40-year-olds coming too that have had some experience, but it's all over the board, which is really cool.
it is. It's
I went
exciting.
to the buddy of mine has a CrossFit gym, and I did a little survey there once because I wanted to get a bunch of CrossFit workers to come out and work on the trail with us. And said, it's really a better deal if you spend the night.
Yeah.
How many guys have never slept on the ground? Show of hands. Holy cow! Big burly guys have never slept on the ground. How many women have never peed outdoors?
Yeah.
Unbelievable!
Right?
How I can't imagine.
You're going to need to make sure they all pee outdoors.
How do you,
That's
is
like
that
a-
a
that's
separate
like a
class?
That's what we're
Have
hitting
you
on
prepared
Friday
yourself
night.
for that one?
But it's not the pee. Let's all be honest.
No,
you cannot go
yeah,
72
yeah.
hours and not poop. Like,
Well,
let's
Bob,
talk about the pooping outdoor.
if they've never peed outdoors, you got to start with 101. You gotta start, there needs to be a class start from the bare bones.
You start your Imodium on Friday, and you take it on Saturday.
Yeah, because they will tie it up.
Yeah.
Says we don't need anybody going home constipated. Let's not do that. But even teaching
I
them,
hope
like,
you haven't jumped into something you're going to be regretting. It's like, I don't want to be holding hands the whole time.
It's going to be great.
It is going to be
It's gonna be so
great.
cool.
I know you've got some people that are skilled though.
we do. And I mean, and that's the thing. Like, we wouldn't bring women in and ask them to trust us for the weekend without having experts, coming out. And so we do. We have the proper experts coming out to help in all the activities.
Yeah.
So with all this time focused on that and the kids, you're still gracious enough to let him go run 100 miles a week, right? So how is that going? And I mean, you run all the time, right? I'll
It
just
doesn't
sneak
feel
out.
like it though. I think because it's just a natural routine now for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always tried to be intentional about picking the running, like running before work or running with kids. And so, like when I'm ramping up for a big race, I'll do a lot of runs at 5 o'clock in the morning at home on the treadmill before anyone wakes up, so kids don't even know. And now our kids, man, it's awesome. They're 5 and 7. So Lucy got for Christmas one of these awesome specialized bikes with disc brakes and front forks and gears. And our 5-year-old son tried it out and flew on it.
Wow.
These kids on the Riverwalk, I can be doing a 6-minute pace and they're biking right next to me, like nothing. Like, Daddy, are you going to go faster? And it is the best training partners in the world. So now,
And it's good for our family. Like, we all go out and do it together.
yeah, and they're just right there. So, and I mean for 10 mile, like they'll go out for 10 miles doing this. It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's easier now than it probably was 3 or 4 years ago when they were. It's like this weird transition. I always tell people, like when they're in a stroller, it's really easy. You just push them wherever you want them to go, and you do whatever you want. And, throw some milk in there, or some iPads,
Some gel.
like
Some snacks,
here's some
like-
snacks, like keep
Here's
you
some
busy.
hammer gel.
That's what happens.
It's perfect for you.
That's happened.
That has happened before. But when they can't go with you, there's like this transition when they're like 3, 4, 5, and it's like,
Wanna
okay,
be in the
they're
stroller.
too big to push, But now our kids are like, they're at that perfect golden
It
age.
just gets better.
It's gonna get fun now for sure. I bet.
It is.
I get left.
Last night, actually, for an example, my daughter, she wanted to go biking on her mountain bike down the road, and it's our driveway is a mile out and a mile back, and so I ran. She mountain biked with me. I came back, and she said, I'm done. I said, all right, I'm gonna go for another one. As I'm running out the door, she's like, no, I'm gonna go again. And I'm like, all right, get your bike stuff on. She's like, no, I want to run this time. She had to do athlon. Like, so she biked 2 miles, and then we went out and did like a 2.5 mile run back.
It's gonna be a
Sweet.
Yeah,
Danger.
It was a good moment.
But it's just natural. Like, that's
Yeah.
a natural rhythm we've incorporated for our family, so it doesn't feel off for the kids. It feels like play. So
Yeah.
anytime, we don't really we don't call it exercise. Like, let's go out and run. Let's go out and bike. Let's go out and play. And so that's just a
Life.
natural
It's a
play
life
for them.
thing.
Yeah.
We were picking flowers. We actually did some hunting for mushrooms too, looking for some rails.
Nice.
We didn't find any, but that was part of the 2.5 miles.
Okay,
We're all over the place.
We got about 5 or 7 minutes left. Got to hear the story about how your wife adopted the
Yeah.
Gergia Jewel as you won the race that day. And so I think this is a story you should tell because
I'll start it, but she can finish it because.
Well, first of all, tell
I wasn't present
what is
when it
the
happened.
Gergia Jewel?
So the Gergia Jewel is run on the Pinhoti Trail in Dalton, Georgia. It is 99% trail.
It's an ultra race.
Ultra
It's a trail
race, 100 mile, 50 mile, or 35, and we added an 18 in last year. It's going to be even closer to 100% trail this year. There's just one little surprise at the very end that is, you can call it pavement, but I would probably still call it a trail. So that's the Pinhoti Trail, the Gergia Jewel. I ran it in 2015. I was signed up for the Chattanooga Ironman and was dreading the training for it so bad that I said, honey, I'm just canceling this thing. I'm asking for a refund. I
He
did
sucks
it.
at swimming.
I suck at swimming.
And that'll make everybody
Yeah,
go
but
better.
you can
Finish
just
the
float
one
on your
race.
back on that swim, and you can still make it.
That's what I usually do is I float and try not
I'm
to
actually
drown.
really glad to hear that he sucks.
Me too.
Sucks at something,
Makes
that's
me
right.
feel better about myself.
So I asked for the refund. They give me $100. And I'm like, what can I do with this? And Jenny's like, you can sign up for the race. It needs to be close, and you have your $100, and that's all you get. And well, lo and behold, there was the Gergia Jewel. It was the same weekend as the Ironman. I was like, done. And so I went and ran this thing, and
You won it, right?
I just did the 50 miler, but I won the 50 miler. I finished, and Jenny's like, hey, how'd you like it? I'm like, oh, it was good. Well,
Let's go.
She's like, I'm like, she goes, well, guess what? I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? She's like, we're the new race directors for next year. And I literally was cramping still in the middle of this, trying to drink a
mouth
Coke.
cramps.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Pucker factor. Don't
we haven't done anything like that
You
before.
were out there too long, apparently.
Apparently, it was like
Gave her too
5
much free time.
5 minutes too long.
Yeah.
So she can tell you how she actually pulled this off.
With you, thank goodness.
Well,
and Randy.
Well,
Oh my
what did
gosh.
I do? I
Praise
didn't
the
do
Lord for
anything.
you. Are you joking?
What did I do?
Do you remember having beers with us and us being like,
You sat down and give us a detailed
Yes.
list exactly.
Well,
like,
yeah,
like
but I thought you
water.
already
Like, this is
did
how
it.
much food you need. This is how much you spent like an hour with us
Well, I
going
thought
through.
you
No.
already had the job.
we knew nothing?
But we didn't know
We
anything.
didn't know anything.
And then to top it all off, before the race, I said, "Hey, we need some stuff to help with the race." You took me into your warehouse
Yeah.
and you said, "Anything you see, take with you." And I'm like,
I'm taking it all.
"Yeah, oh, speakers, surround sound,
Yeah.
finish line,
Coolers.
like."
Yeah,
I
you gotta
mean,
have all.
Yeah.
Literally, Wild Trails has been, and you
Wow.
specifically.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean,
Yes.
we have all the stuff, and it sits in the warehouse 90% of the time. I want it to be used.
Wow. We
Especially
use it,
for- yeah,
and we're very appreciative.
Very. I mean, and that's why I love Chattanooga. It's people like you, just the generosity of truly wanting people to be outside. Like, you can say that, but to be able to back that up with opening your warehouse and sharing and supporting like you have, like, that's where actions meet words, and that's authenticity. And so I'm very thankful that you are an authentically generous person. Thank you
Well,
for that.
it's the biggest problem. Two big problems in our society, in our world. Not enough activity and not enough connection with nature. And got to fix that. I mean, there's just a huge problem, and it's just getting worse. So.
And that's why we added the 18-miler. So the 100-miler was kind of done. Well, so at the finish line, I go to get him, and I didn't even know where the finish line was at first. Like, it was just an interesting experience to pick him up, and then I'm just kind of standing there waiting, and I overhear the race director mention that she's moving, and so being new to town, I'm like, hey, if you need help, I don't mind helping. Like, we're looking to get connected and to meet some people. And so then she called and said, I'd like to give you the race.
Not sell you the race, give you the race.
Give you the race.
Here it is.
Which that was it. You're like, oh, okay. And I told Franklin, I was like, honey, she's giving it to us.
It's free.
Why?
Why?
When something's free,
Your soul.
that should be the first flag. It's free.
Which is why we needed you, because when they gave it to us free, they came and gave us like 2 little like cartons of stuff that they had, and it was like a couple gas cans, a couple lights,
The Christmas lights.
and Christmas lights, and that was it. And I was like, "That's all? You guys have had this race for 3 years."
Equity.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, "Hey, Randy, we need a few supplies,
Oh my gosh.
please."
Oh gosh, I still text you and ask you questions.
How
And
long
so
have you been doing it now?
This will be our 3rd
this
year.
will be our
This
third
is
year.
number 3. Yeah, okay.
We sold out last year,
Yeah.
and Franklin though kept like going in and letting people in. It's like the Forest Service is going to be angry at me, but Franklin kept going in and letting people in. And this year we've been able to increase the amount of runners that we have. But we started this 18 last year because my first trail race was a 17-mile trail race. And I just remember thinking that was like the longest distance ever. I can't believe anybody would do anything longer. But it's that next step from like a half marathon. You don't know that you're fully ready for a full marathon. And it was easy for our course to incorporate an 18-miler. And so I said, I really want to be accessible. And that's just my heart, even with SheVentures. I like to be accessible to the rookies, like to the people who may be intimidated to sign up for the 50Ks. Yeah.
Yep.
And to make them feel like they can do it and that they're capable of it. So
I think that is a great move and a great distance. So a bridge in the gap.
And we give them the same amount of time as the 35 milers. So they have
so
like 12 hours because people are out there already.
might as
So
well.
you can. I think we said if you average was it a 21 minute mile,
it's like 21
you can
minutes.
finish our
Wow.
18.
Perfect.
So anyone who is just getting started, they're very capable of like hiking it, walking it,
Yeah.
just jog a little bit. You're going to finish the thing.
We're going to let dogs in this year, so
Oh,
we're going to
really?
let people, if they want to, run with dogs.
Starting in the back.
They're starting in the back. They cannot podium because my dog can pull me at a 6-minute mile, and I am really fast. He pulls me.
Yeah.
But we want to make it, and we want to make it family friendly and just
Good idea.
a good event for people. So.
Well, thank you guys for coming. This has been awesome, and we'll do it again. In fact, let's plan on doing this again after SheVentures. What did you say the date was?
The last weekend of
And-
July.
Any information on her? As
Yeah,
far as it's
SheVenturesEarth.com. Check it out. We're gonna do next year. We're gonna do like mom-daughter camps. We're gonna do family camps where families can come learn how to do that together.
Oh, wonderful.
Like to do.
I've not heard of any of this.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yes, you probably just forgot.
You just need to know the dates so you can go plan a weekend out. And that's,
And Gergia Jewel.
GeorgiaJewel.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram. So sign up. It's fun. It's really great.
yeah.
We'll do this again. Thanks for coming.
Thank you guys. Thanks for what y'all do for our community and for highlighting Chattanooga.
Yeah.
I'd like everybody to move here if it were up to me.
No.
Whatever.
Not everybody.
That's true.
Not everybody. Just keep it small.
Just the cool
We like small town.
Small.
Thanks.
Yeah.
See you next week.